The dream of a young man who wanted to be a cop. The dream that exploded in violence last night in a deadly shootout in South suburban Lansing. Channel 5's Kevin McCarty has more on the death and life of Kenneth Novak.
It was one of those routine traffic stops, the kind that should go by the book. This one ended with a police officer murdered, another wounded, and a suspect dead. Lansing police officer Kenneth Novak was ambushed and shot to death on a secluded road. Backup officer George Dragisevich suffered 2 to 3 gunshot wounds in a shootout with the killer.
As we understand it, both cars almost simultaneously arrived on the scene. Within a very short time, the shots were fired, the officer was down, and the radio received call for assistance.
Officer Kenneth Novak was apparently in his squad car over by the Red Roof Inn when he spotted a car parked near this wooded area. He drove over to the area to check the situation out. It was while he was running a make on the license plates of that car that the shooting started.
He came out of a wooded area. It was a very dark wooded area that he came out of, and from what we're piecing together at the present time.
Police say the gunman, 21-year-old Kevin Hardy, had stolen a car and fled Indiana, where he was under house arrest for aggravated battery. The woman, 20-year-old Stephanie Luddy, says Hardy left her parked next to the woods after saying he was going to rob a nearby hotel for money. Joe Tobias drove by the murder scene just minutes before the shooting started. Tobias says he saw just one police officer.
I was surprised that there was only one officer I seen there, because usually they go in twos, call for backup and that. So on the way back from Cub Foods, we had seen the lines up already and that, and we figured we just missed it. We heard 2 officers were shot.
Novak was a full-time police dispatcher and paramedic who worked part-time as an officer. At his old high school, flags are at half-staff for the boy once known as Butchie, who always wanted to be a cop.
I had Ken in class a number of years ago. He graduated about 1983, and he's kind of a quiet, conscientious person. I think always very interested in police work and doing those kind of things, and it's not surprising that he went into that particular area because that was his main interest in high school.
Police say Novak was next on the list for a full-time job as an officer and died even though he was following police procedure by the book.
I would say that these officers conducted themselves in a textbook manner for the situation. Unfortunately, the textbook didn't work this time.
In Lansing, Kevin McCarty, Channel 5 News.
Police say they expect to charge the woman who was in the car with murder. One other note, this is the first killing of a police officer in the 99-year history of the Lansing Police Department.
Police officer Kenneth Novak and the shootout that took his young life. Tonight, the flag outside the Lansing Police Department flies at half-staff in memory of Officer Novak. The building is draped in purple bunting. Novak is the first Lansing police officer to be killed in the line of duty in 100 years. Lansing, located far south of Chicago, is a town where murder is rare, so the murder of a cop hits hard. As Channel 2's John Duncanson reports, Novak was killed while checking out a woman in a suspicious car.
This woman is charged tonight with accessory to a cop killing. Stephanie Luddy of Indianapolis. Not far from where she walked inside the Lansing Police Department, Kenny Novak was scheduled to be taking dispatch calls. Tonight he's dead.
Kenny was an outstanding person. He was an exceptionally brilliant and bright, aggressive patrol officer.
27-year-old Kenny Novak, a full-time police dispatcher who wanted to be a patrolman, was volunteering to do patrol work at no pay. Novak's death came when he encountered the woman, Stephanie Luddy, sitting alone in a car at 172nd and Oak. The young officer questioned her and asked for a backup. He and another officer blocked the street with patrol cars. Then, from a nearby wooded area, a gunman approached, shooting and wounding the assisting officer. Novak was shot and killed inside his car.
The ironic tragedy is that both officers were wearing what they should have been, bulletproof vests. It's just that the officer who was wounded was apparently lying prone, and the bullets entered between his vest line and his belt line. As for Kenny Novak, the officer who was killed, the bullet hit him in the chest between 2 panels of his bulletproof vest. The assisting officer shot and killed 21-year-old Kevin Hardy, who'd driven this stolen car to Lansing from Indianapolis.
He was a convicted wife-beater with a history of violent crime under house arrest at this location in Indianapolis. His grandmother reported that at 5 p.m. yesterday, Hardy took a gun, robbed money from a neighbor, and took off. In a city where there were only 2 murders last year, Kenneth Novak became the first police officer here to fall in the line of duty. He wanted and waited to live his life in a patrol car. Instead, he died in one. In Lansing, John Duncanson, Channel 2 News.
The other officer wounded in the attack tonight is hospitalized in serious but stable condition.
Sex scandal at a Catholic church. It's a headline. Has been gunned down in a hail of bullets. It was a deadly shootout that happened during the middle of the night in a secluded area. 2 officers on routine patrol are surprised by a gunman, a man from Indianapolis who turns out is on the lam. He too is killed, and the other officer seriously wounded. It happened in the far south suburb of Lansing. It has rattled the police in that town where such violence is rare. Channel 2's Jim Avila is in Lansing with a live report. Jim?
Linda, purple bunting and a flag at half-staff at City Hall in Lansing is not usual here. Lansing has been a village for 100 years, and no police officer has ever been shot and killed until today. Today, a young police officer at the beginning of his career was gunned down by a desperate ex-con who was determined not to go back to prison. It was a surprise attack on this bend in the road, a south suburban lover's lane. Lansing police spent the morning searching the woods for clues and evidence in this first fatal police shooting in village history. Gunned down as he checked out a suspicious car was Kenneth Novak, a part-time Lansing patrolman. The 27-year-old officer was a full-time police dispatcher who volunteered for patrol for no pay, just experience. He was a top cadet, next on the list to be hired full-time.
Who expects it? Who expects to be shot? I mean, you go up to a car to ask them something and turn around and you're dead.
So it's a shame. I mean, it really is. It's sad to see somebody that really wanted to be a policeman that much, and he was that close to being there.
Novak's death came as he followed good police procedure. Suspicious of a woman sitting alone in a car at 172nd and Oak, he questioned her and called for backup. The 2 officers blocked the street with their patrol cars. From the rear, a gunman approaches, wounding the first officer outside his patrol car. Novak was shot and killed inside his car. While the police officers have their heads down and are checking out the mystery car, out from the woods and around the back of the car comes a man. The man is carrying a gun, but it's the middle of the night and his hands are to his sides. The officers see no weapon. The first clue of danger is when the bullets start to fly.
There was no struggle. There were just, as we understand it, there were just shots fired. The offender just instantaneously decided to shoot the one officer several times.
The surviving officer did manage to get back to his knees and fire 2 shots, killing the gunman instantly. That surviving officer, George Dragovich, is in good condition with bullet wounds to his stomach and his arm. Police believe the offender was preparing an armed robbery in the Lansing area and had parked his car in that remote area as a getaway. His girlfriend is now under arrest here at the police station, and she may be charged later on with attempted murder. We're live in Lansing. I'm Jim Avila, Channel 2 News.
Okay, Jim, thanks very much.